I think it's a good matchup. It's a fight that we all been wanting to see. Bud has the skills. He got the discipline, IQ to win.
Terence Crawford was recently spotted in training camp with the grandson of the legendary Muhammad Ali, getting ready for his fight with Canelo Alvarez. Jeff Mayweather, however, offered his opinions on the possible bout, stating that Terence Crawford is most likely the only boxer now in the running that has a chance of defeating Canelo Alvarez. But he made clear that Crawford would actually be going up a lot more weight classes, not just one or two, which makes the task far more difficult. Jeff clarified that since he does not anticipate this fight to be one of those slow-burning bouts, the result would be known early on rather than in the latter rounds.
I think Crawford is the only person that out there right now that even has a chance to beat Canelo. But I also deal with the reality of him going up actually more than two weight classes. He's actually going up way more than that. And like I said, I mean, we're going to see. I think that we'll find out early what's going to happen in the fight. I don't think it's going to be one of those fights where we're going to find out what's going to happen later in the later rounds. I don't think that.
He stated that Crawford's response to Canelo's early pressure and influence will be crucial. Crawford must demonstrate that he can withstand the punishment if Canelo begins attacking the body and using his standard technique for taking down opponents. Jeff pointed out that Canelo has a reputation for gradually wearing down opponents. Crawford has very little chance of winning if he is unable to handle that in the early going.
Either Canelo is going to put pressure on Crawford, and we're going to find out if Crawford is able to take what Canelo dishes out. And if he can handle that, I mean, he has a chance of winning. But if he can't handle it early, and Canelo start working the body and things like that, I mean, because Canelo he usually break fighters down, and that's what he's known for. And if Crawford can't handle that, there's no way he's going to win.
Devin Haney added that the clash is thrilling and something that everyone has been anticipating. He noted that Canelo Alvarez has considerable size and strength advantages, but he still thinks Terry Bud Crawford has the abilities, self-control, and ring IQ required to prevail. Haney went on to say that he is happy Crawford got the fight because it looks like a great matchup.
I think it's a good matchup. It's a fight that we all been wanting to see. Bud has the skills. He got the discipline, IQ to win, but Canelo has all that with the size. So I think it's a good fight. I'm happy that Bud got the fight.
However, as he gets ready for his fight with Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford has recently been spotted practicing in camp with Muhammad Ali's grandson. Many people have taken notice of this partnership because they believe it will help Crawford hone his abilities and find motivation from a family history steeped in boxing brilliance. Joel Diaz added that Canelo Alvarez may have some difficulties against Terence Crawford in the early going, but that the fight will turn in his favor once Canelo understands he cannot be damaged. He emphasized that Canelo had survived blows from powerful fighters like Gennady Golovkin and even more formidable opponents. Diaz said that from a business standpoint, it is doubtful that Canelo would be permitted to risk a loss since it would harm the boxing market, and he likened the impending fight to Canelo's battle with Gerald Charlo, implying a similar result.
He's really smart. He's going to give Canelo a little bit of trouble in the first round, but then once Canelo feels that he can't get hurt, come on, Canelo's been hit by the heaviest hitter in boxing, Triple G, and never got hurt. He got hit by Dubois, never got hurt. A 175-pounder.
So I feel like this fight is gonna be somewhat like the Charlo fight, where it's just
it's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like the Charlo fight. I mean, they're gonna sell the fight like Crawford's gonna win, but there is no way, business-wise, Canelo will not jeopardize a loss, because if Canelo loses, the boxing business goes down. I mean, I know a lot of people think that he's not going to win.
Arman Sukian, a UFC fighter, stated that he believes Canelo Alvarez will prevail due to his size, strength, and prior experience against more formidable opponents. He admitted that Terence Crawford is among the best in the sport, highly technical, and capable of changing stances, but he thinks Canelo will have the advantage because to his strength, stamina, and powerful chin.
Canelo Crawford, who you got?
Canelo. But I like Crawford as well. Canelo because he's bigger, much bigger, and he fought with big guys. He has more experience.
I see.
But Crawford, he's more technical. He can switch his stance. He's like one of the best, I feel like. But
You think Canelo by power and experience?
Yep, and he has a good chin as well. So
Mike Perry, another UFC competitor, stated that he supports Canelo Alvarez, pointing to the Mexican's strength as the primary consideration. Although he leaned favored Canelo, he praised Terence Crawford's skill and toughness, calling him a superb fighter.
I'm going with the Mexican power. I think, I know Terence is tough, you know. He's an incredible fighter, but I'm going to go with Canelo because he didn't hold Turkey's hand.
According to Ronnie Shield, Terence Crawford has a genuine chance to win and the fight will be fantastic. According to him, Crawford will move differently, change stances, and employ his counterpunching abilities to open up the fight instead of approaching it like Callum Smith or Aries Landy Lara did. Shields believes that Crawford can test Canelo Alvarez's customary dominance by making him miss and then successfully capitalizing, which will put him in awkward situations.
I think it's going to be a great fight. You know, I've been asked this question a lot the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And I really and truly believe that Crawford has a great chance. You know, Crawford is not going to fight him like school fought him. He's not going to fight him like Lara fought him. Crawford is going to be doing a little bit of ins and out, I believe, turning left-handed and right-handed. And, you know, for me, I think he's going to give Canelo a problem because Canelo probably going to think he's going to be moving a lot. And I don't think so. I think Crawford is going to practice, you know, rely on his counterpunching abilities and then start taking the lead and putting Canelo in positions he's never been in, you know, in a long time. So, and I think that's the right way to fight Canelo. You know, you can't worry about his power. You just got to worry about making him miss and then countering and being effective. And Crawford has all the ability to do that.
Andre Rozier stated that he prefers Canelo Alvarez due to his history of supremacy at 168 pounds. He thinks that in order to prevent losing to Terence Crawford, who stepped up from about 140 pounds to face him in the ring, Canelo would exert more effort than ever before.
I have to favor Canelo only because he's been the king at 168 so long. And I think he's going to work harder than he ever has just because he doesn't want his name to be tarnished by coming up short against a man that came from really 140 to meet him in the ring.
Terence Crawford's lack of recent action, according to Andre Rozier, is his biggest worry since time away from the ring can cause rust that gym practice alone cannot cure. However, he still believes Crawford can make the fight very entertaining. Rozier's strategy if he were in Crawford's corner would be to stay moving, use the jab skillfully, and avoid standing motionless so that Canelo Alvarez could load up. Canelo has a granite chin and the ability to injure even light heavyweights.
My problem is that my boy TC hasn't been in the ring for a moment, and lack of
Over a year now.
activity tends to lead to rust and just not being able to articulate like you usually would. Gym work is one thing, the actual fights are another. But if anybody can bring it to the table, it'll be Crawford, and that's why I'm saying it's going to be a very, very entertaining fight.
Definitely. And if you were in Crawford's corner, what would be the blueprint to beat Canelo on September 13th?
To keep moving, don't stand there and let him load up, because he hurts light heavyweights. He can punch. He can punch, and he's got a granite chin. So my thing would be keep utilizing your jab and keep him off balance.
Jeff Horn stated the fight is hazardous early on and he feels Canelo Alvarez might avoid rushing in at the opening to prevent walking into a major shot. He anticipates Terence Crawford will use his deft movement, counterpunching, and defense to keep the fight within control, while Canelo will try to establish his presence by using his size advantage. Horn believes the bout will probably end in a decision, but he also believes that Canelo's size advantage could result in an early stoppage if he applies constant pressure.
I feel like it is dangerous at the start, and I feel like Canelo probably in a way won't want to rush too much because he doesn't want to run into any big shots. But I think he will feel quite dominant and want to show his size to Crawford out there. But I think the same thing. I think it's going to be Crawford's just going to use his great defense and move out of the way and clip Canelo every now and again. But it will probably, I feel like the fight surely goes to a decision, but it's going to be a stoppage early for like a Canelo in try and batter Crawford because of the size difference.
He went on to say that if Crawford can withstand the early storm, he has the ability to change the course. Horn clarified that as the rounds go on, Canelo might become exhausted due to Crawford's accurate striking and ability to take advantage of holes. If that occurs, Crawford may tire him down and ultimately stop him later in the fight, much like Crawford defeated him.
Crawford outsmarts him in there and clips him and tires him out using his boxing skills, and then potentially finishes Canelo later in the fight like he did with myself.
Oh wow, you really feel that Terence could stop a bigger Canelo?
Possibly, yeah, sure. He's got super accurate shots, and if he's able to weather the storm early from Canelo, if that's what Canelo's strategy is, that could tire him out, and that could allow a window for Terence Crawford to start seeing if he's able to pick the holes and land the good shots. He could certainly tire Canelo out and stop him later in the fight. It's definitely possible.
Antonio Tarver stated that he strongly supports Terence Crawford and called this bout one of the biggest boxing events in recent memory. However, he acknowledged that Canelo Alvarez is the finest opponent Crawford has ever faced, making this the most difficult test of his career. Tarver added that September 13th would show who is really at the top, but he also mentioned that Crawford might be the hardest challenge Canelo has faced.
Yeah, it's a major fight, man, the biggest in a long time. If you've been following Tarver's take, you know I'm Bud counting all the way. But this is going to be the toughest fight, the best fighter Bud has ever been in the ring with. And arguably, this could be the best fighter Canelo has ever been in the ring with. We'll find out which one is which on September 13th.
Regis Prograis emphasized the obvious power disparity by pointing out how Gerald Charlo, the undisputed champion at 154, was dropped promptly after Canelo Alvarez landed clean. He stated that Terence Crawford had only engaged in combat once, at the age of 154, and that Israel Madrimov had even touched him during that encounter. However, taking on Canelo is a whole new level. Prograis stated that he might choose Crawford if he were facing a naturally larger opponent. However, the task gets much more difficult when facing Canelo, whom he regards as one of the best Mexican boxers of all time.
Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him, and Jamel was like, hell no, Jamel took a knee, you know? So it's a big difference, and Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford, but you talk about this might be, people might kill me for it, but well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right? You talk about Canelo and Crawford going up against him.
He went on to say that Canelo might have an advantage because to his advanced age and Crawford's keen skills. Although Canelo is 36 and Crawford is already 37 or 38, Prograis noted that many people think Crawford can win, but he personally doesn't think so, citing Canelo's inherent size, strength, and durability as important considerations. He claimed that this battle demonstrates the importance of weight classes. However, if Crawford succeeds, he will go down as one of the greatest boxers of all time.
So the only thing they have, but I would say the only thing he has going for him is he's a skillful fighter, and Canelo is older, but so is Crawford too. I think Crawford is 37, 38, something like that. Canelo's 36, so they both are older right now. But man, I don't personally see it. A lot of people see that Crawford can beat Canelo. It's just like that punch resistance is something else. They make weight classes for a reason. If he could beat him, man, I think he on the Mount Rushmore of fighters if Crawford can pull this off.
Since Terence Crawford will be competing at 168 pounds for the first time, Andy Ruiz suggested the fight might be difficult for him. He questioned whether he had the pace and ability to withstand Canelo Alvarez's pressure, offensive approach, slipping, and counterpunching. He reminded everyone that anything can happen in boxing by drawing a comparison to his own unexpected victory over Anthony Joshua. Canelo has the ability to win by knockout, Ruiz continued. He underlined the matchup's general unpredictability, even though Crawford's greatest opportunity is to move, create angles, and make the fight difficult.
I don't know, it might be hard for Crawford since it's going to be his first time fighting at 168, right? At 168. Right. We don't know how he's going to move. I don't know if he's going to be that fast. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle his pressure, you know, because Canelo's really good at pressuring, coming forward, slipping, countering. But, you know, nobody believed in me when I was going to fight Anthony Joshua that I was going to win. So anything could happen, especially in this sport of boxing.
So you think he wins by points or KO?
Canelo?
Yeah.
It's crazy because he could win by a knockout, and Crawford could probably win by moving around and making the fight a little difficult for Canelo. But like I said, anything could happen.
Having faced both men, Amir Khan stated that he believes Canelo Alvarez will be easier to hit due to his slower feet, quick hands, and considerable power, making his stature and strength significant obstacles for Terence Crawford. He observed that Crawford, who weighs about 180 pounds, has recently looked large and strong, carrying the weight effectively while retaining his strength and agility. Khan acknowledged that the bout is still a high-quality and unexpected matchup, but he leaned slightly in Crawford's direction since he thought the younger fighter had received less damage than Canelo over the years.
Look, I'm the only guy to share the ring with both guys, and I always said, look, both fighters are great. They're both great at what they do. I thought Canelo, you know, he was easier to hit. He had slow feet, but fast hands. I never expected him to have the fast hands he had. And obviously, he has a lot of power. So that's one thing Crawford has to worry about, you know, the size and the power. But then again, I saw a picture of Crawford where he was weighing around about 180 pounds, looked strong, looked big. And I think he holds the weight well. And he's another fighter that's very strong, very powerful. So, you know what, I do lean more towards Crawford in this fight because he's the more fresher fighter. He's not been in too many wars like Canelo's been in. But look, like I said, this is a top level boxing, so I don't know who's going to win. But like I said, I do lean more towards Crawford.
According to Israel Madrimov, Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez are both pound-for-pound boxing titans, which is why the bout has garnered a lot of attention. He highlighted Crawford's fluid stance altering, distance control, and versatility in any style while praising his outstanding ring IQ. Crawford is dangerous in all areas because he can apply pressure, move well, and fight efficiently on the inside, according to Madrimov. He went on to say that Crawford has a genuine chance of winning as long as he doesn't put on extra weight.
Perspective, having fought Terence, him now fighting Canelo, moving up 2 more weight classes to fight a lot bigger guy.
Сейчас всем интересно вот это бой, потому что они занимают паунд-по-паунду. Кроуфорд, у Кроуфорда есть высокий IQ, и обоих стойках он может боксировать, он можно давить и бегать, и даже ближний бой тоже может. Поэтому мне тоже интересно, если он не набирает лишний вес, может тоже выиграть это. Есть шанс.
Although Canelo Alvarez is always a formidable foe, Terence Crawford won't face anything new, according to Sean Porter. He pointed out that Crawford was prepared to increase his weight because he had trouble gaining 147 pounds for his fight with Errol Spence Jr. Porter went on to say that he expects the fight to be really competitive since Crawford has properly built up his size, in contrast to many competitors who hurry the process.
Getting in the ring with Canelo Alvarez, Terence is not going to see anything that he hasn't seen before. No, he hasn't seen this beast on fight night, but he's seen versions of this beast for a very, very, very long time. Another thing to note is people have said that he's a blown-up 147-pound fighter. If you remember, he said it was hard for him to make 147 when he fought Errol Spence Jr. I was like, yo, how is that possible? I didn't realize like he was really doing everything that's needed to gain the weight properly. Most fighters don't know how to gain weight and fit into a weight class properly. He's done that.
Although everyone has a different opinion, Fernando Vargas Jr. stated that he believes Terence Crawford to be the more accomplished boxer, but he also recognized Canelo Alvarez's strength and symptoms of deterioration, pointing out that Canelo no longer throws as many punches as he once did. He shared that he has sparred with Crawford and has always found him to be clever and very skilled. Vargas Jr. stated that Crawford has respected him and his father, garnering praise for his character and accomplishments, even though his family does not always get along with some of Crawford's colleagues.
Everybody has their own take, right? Crawford's the best skilled fighter ever. Canelo has power, he's on his decline. It's interesting because Canelo, doesn't throw as many punches as he used to. They say he's on his decline. Crawford, he's a very skillful fighter, very smart. I've actually had the opportunity to spar with Crawford, and it's always respect between me and Crawford. Me and my family may not get along with the Davises or his stablemates, but at the end of the day, whenever we see Crawford, he'll go out of his way to say hi to my dad, to myself. So it's always respect with him, and I have a lot of respect for Crawford and what he's done.
Vargas Jr. went on to say that there is a purpose behind weight divisions. Even if Crawford is among the greatest of all time, it will be challenging to overcome Canelo's strength at 168. Crawford may frustrate Canelo in the early going, but unless Crawford fights a perfect Tom and Jerry match to avoid damage, he expects Canelo to finally tear him down and possibly stop him in the latter rounds, he added.
I just feel there's respective weight classes for a reason. You saw Canelo when he moved up to 175 when he fought Bivol. You saw what happened there.
Yeah.
And I just feel Crawford is one of the best fighters ever, and he could fight in any respective weight class. He could fight in any generation in his respective weight class. I feel Canelo's going to be too much. I feel in the early rounds, he could catch him with shots. Maybe Canelo will get frustrated by picking him up the way Canelo always gets frustrated. But I just feel Canelo will find him out. I think in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, the championship rounds, I believe he could stop him, or if not, get him out of there. I just think it's the weight, bro. My whole thing is, can Crawford take Canelo's best punch? If he could do that, and he has to fight a perfect game plan, like Benavidez, but like Benavidez's dad said, it's gonna be a Tom and Jerry type of fight, which I feel it'll be a Tom and Jerry fight if Crawford wins.
Finally, Vargas Jr. said that it would be the incorrect strategy if Crawford decided to trade blows with Canelo. He pointed out that both combatants will be in peak form because pride and country representation are at stake. Although he acknowledged that anything can happen in boxing and that Canelo would have the advantage and prevail, he still said that the bout on September 13th is one to watch.
If he sits there and wants to, exchange with Canelo, I feel that's not the right game plan. But I feel both know everything's on the line, pride, your country behind you, everything, right? So right. I think both fighters are going to be in the best shape of their life. And regardless of what the critics have to say, we're going to see September 13th what happens. I feel Canelo's going to be a little too much for Crawford, but and I see Canelo pulling it through. But this is boxing and things can happen. So we're in for a great fight.
That concludes the video for today. What do you think of this, then? How do you feel about the impending fight between Canelo and Crawford? We would be interested in knowing what you think about this. If you liked the video, please leave a comment with your opinions and remember to like and subscribe. View our other videos on the right-hand screen as well.